Okay, guys, welcome back to the pod. How are you doing today?
We're so back.
We're always so
We
back.
are so back. I'm so happy to see you, friend, and to hear what your plans are for next year. So that's exciting. It's always good to catch up. So this is our one of our excuses to catch up. How are you doing, Max?
All good, Joe. Always good to have you guys too and hear about both of your adventures. Yeah.
I'm seeing Max next week, Tuesday.
Where? That's fun. That's cool.
Yes. We're gonna be together. We're gonna be working together next week.
In Santiago?
In Santiago, yes. We're
Nice.
heading over to Santiago with the family, with Leon, Luca Leon, and Kirsten. So
Is
that's
it the
gonna be
first big
exciting.
family trip?
No, because we just went to Italy.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot.
We went, I did Nice,
Yep.
so we went, um, yeah, that's good. So we're taking advantage of, some parental leaves that Christian has, and also that Lucas is small enough that he doesn't really have issues traveling.
Nice.
He sleep, so that's gonna be cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see Max. And we're going to Chile for, yeah, we have a few reasons to go to Chile. See the family and then do some racing. And I guess that can be a good segue to one of the first topics that we wanted to chat about today, um, which is like trail running state in South America, in Latin America, in terms of athletes and racing. What is your impression of Latin American trail running, friend?
It's a growing scene for sure. Um, I have only raced in Latin America once. That was in Patagonia in at the 2019 Trail and Mountain Running World Champs, which personally was a very very good race and memory. Um, I think even this year at Worlds, for example, there was a huge contingent of Latin American runners from Ecuador, Chile, uh, Mexico. I think we can consider Latin America, Colombia, and also like many people in the top 10 or top 20. So yeah, it's a fast growing scene, and I think I talk a lot to Joaquim Lopez because he's part of the board of the PTRA, the Professional Trail Runners Organization Association, um, and he's like very involved with the um, like equality and accessibility working group, and he's doing a lot for the Latin American scene and to give more opportunities to Latin American runners who obviously many times don't have the same uh, consideration and access to opportunities as North American or European runners. So I think in order to actually make the sport more diverse, it's very important to give better opportunities to those athletes. And
Mm,
yeah, so that's my overall impression.
mm,
I can't
mm.
say I am an expert of the Latin American trail running scene because yeah, I know a few races and events, but there is many more that I don't know, many athletes that I don't know. But yeah, what else can you add?
So yeah, the first thing we have to get you down there
We yeah
again.
yeah
When is a
that'd be
good
fun.
time of year? When is a good time of year for an athlete like you to
I
like
think
go
during
and
the
do a race in
winter
Latin America? Yeah, like between November
in February, I guess.
and February. Like go down and like because the weather is nice over there that time
Exactly.
of year, you know. Huh. Um, yeah, I think so. There is like in terms of athletes, what is your impression, Max, as a Latin American passionate of the sport that doesn't necessarily follow the Latin American athletes themselves, but you follow the whole sport? Like you don't follow specifically Latin American running on racing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way, I feel like there are definitely some names out there that have been more recognized the last, I don't know, few years. I mean, we do have strong runners. We have always had strong runners, even like 10 years ago. Whenever we
Even
were,
more.
or I was, yeah. Well, I mean, I know
Gyro
Colombians
Correa.
have a long, yeah. I know that maybe races like Cerro Sinal have the presence of like Mexicans and Colombians for like 40 years, and they have made a
Exactly.
name for themselves there. But I think outside of that, right, it feels like we have been maybe lacking the depth in terms of talent, right? But definitely the last few years we have seen more people, right? Joaquin is a great example. Then some Argentinians too that now tend to do the UTMB races and whatnot. That I feel that we are definitely getting more recognition than what it used to be 10 years ago. I think, to be honest, the main struggle here is like the duality or the seasonality. It's basically the other way around, right? So if you live basically anywhere in South America, you go out, right, to do the races in summer in Europe and North America. So that always makes it hard, I guess, right? Because you come from very far away, you come from winter, you come from fall training to do well at UTMB, which is like late summer. So there is that whole season, kind of being complicated logistically to navigate, that I think it's one of maybe the main issues that we currently have for having more representation, right?
Mm.
But I think we are overall we're getting better. I think there's still maybe a lack of infrastructure, right? When it comes
Exactly.
to or support, right? If you want to call it like that, when it comes to potentially help runners who may have chances of doing well outside, but they don't really have the resource, or they don't even know how to potentially get somewhere, right? But yeah, I think with things like you were mentioning, Fran, right? I think we are moving forward, just like getting to give better information and better access to some of this stuff to the people here. I think it's definitely a work in progress, right? And something that we probably all need to contribute more, if especially us being me being South American, being in Chile and living in Chile, right? But yeah, I mean, there is definitely talent. It's just like maybe it's not showing as often as we would like to.
Yeah, that's the point that Joaquim was mentioning to me, and also when it comes from support from federations and brands, sponsorship, all that stuff. Obviously, it's not at the same level as we have in North America or in Europe. So I actually feel very privileged for that, because obviously those
Mm.
athletes don't have anything less than us, that we get more and better
I,
opportunities.
yeah, I think there are two things that block. One is, of course, that like a lot of places are just very far from
Yes,
the bigger races. So, like Chile, for example, is so like it's a flight from Santiago to Paris is longer than a flight from Paris to Shanghai. So, like Chile is very far. So, a lot of the time it's like you're far and it's like expensive. And the other thing is that the Latin American races get like it doesn't get any or don't get much recognition because the systems are created by Europeans
exactly.
organizations or North American organizations. So then you have like not to get into the specific, but like you have a like the famous index, even the ITRA or the UTMB, which are very biased. I don't think they're objective at all. Um, they um, don't necessarily recognize the true uh, like results or performances in like races in Latin America. So, for instance, a 50K in Colorado is going to give you a better index than a 50K in Colombia. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the 50K in Colorado is more competitive or it was a better performance, actually. It's just that for some reason, these formulas are not public, but like that doesn't benefit the like races in like smaller countries or like like regions like Latin America. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is like it's far away. And then when an athlete, is going to compete in Europe or the US or other regions that are more competitive, they tend to have lower index, but just because they haven't been exposed to those
Of
races with the
course,
bigger index. But it is kind of like a game that is like not
it's
objective. It's
a
like kind of subjective.
it's a structural disadvantage that these
Mm,
athletes face, but of course,
mm,
it's not their fault, and it's not because they're not competitive. And I think it has an origin from a lack of representation in those organizations like UTMB or ITRA, or
mm,
even in major brands and shoe companies that sponsor athletes.
mm.
And yeah, we like to say that our sport is inclusive and diverse, but in reality, it's not so much, and it reflects a bigger issue that we have as a society, um, that, of
Mm.
course, favors people and athletes from certain parts of the world and
Yeah.
less people from other parts of the world.
Mm. Yeah. My take is that I think in 2026 you're gonna see about like more Latin Americans doing best and better, and every year is gonna continue to improve. We have people in the top in the podium at GMB. We have people like there was a Colombian guy in the uphill race, kind of top
Jonathan,
five, I
Jonathan
think.
Castillo got
Yeah.
twice in the top 10 in the uphill race
Mm,
and in the up and down
mm,
race. And he's been,
yeah.
I think it was fifth at Sierre
Mm,
last year with a
yeah.
crazy fast time. So it's
Mm,
like
mm, mm,
incredibly good.
mm.
And
But like,
Brian
yeah,
Rodriguez finished ninth also in the up and down race at World. So
yeah. But that's
two
the thing,
North
like
American athletes.
not many people knows of them,
Yeah.
like if they don't get it. But I think like more and more is gonna be coming in the short and the long distance. And maybe, I don't know if the Golden Tour Series is still like going, but like in like that kind of circuits too, I think there will be more like Latin American runners, and you're gonna see more names for sure. And the other thing that is cool, um, that is actually developing a lot is like the races in the region. There's so many races. So in the past, it used to be like two or three very competitive races, but now there is a very good race every month, basically, I would say. And I think that that is exploding in the sense that the level is also exploding because the races are like very cool. Imagine this region has like so much diversity in terms of like landscape, like from races in Mexico that like are like either in the desert or in the jungle to like Colombia, which is in altitude, and then you have like races in Argentina, and then you have races in Chile and everything in between, of course, Brazil. So there is like a lot of very diverse racing, and very competitive ones, where in the past used to be like two to three decently competitive races. Now you have like many, like 10, 12. And that's pretty cool. And that brings us to like one of the topics we wanted to touch to, which is like why I'm going to Chile is because I'm gonna do this race that is organized by the North Face that is called the Endurance Trail Race, I think. Um, and this is a very cool concept because it's a race that happened in Santiago, like in the capital of Chile. And Santiago is a city of 6 million people. And the race starts in the city and then you climb up to the Andes for a while. Like the first climb is 2,600 meters. So you go up into the mountains and you're like up there, and then you loop around and then you come back down and you go down to the city. And it's a pretty wild concept. One of the few places where I have experienced something like that was probably the Endurance Challenge California, where you will run from San Francisco to the Marin Headlands. Um, and then of course in some European towns, but this is a city. This is like it's like if you had a race in Paris and then
Yeah.
it was like crazy, which I guess they have the Eco Trail. So this race specifically used to be one of the most competitive races in the past in South America. Didn't happen for like 6 years and now it's back, which is cool. But now this race has to earn their spot as a competitive race and as an interesting race because it's coming into a landscape where like Now it's not so easy just to position yourself, you know. Um, so we'll see how it goes. But it's a very cool race organized by the North Face, and that is happening in November with the maybe the ambition of bringing some international athletes in the future. So maybe that's how we can get you
Cool.
to come down to South America. Uh,
And visit
but it's a
Max.
and visit Max and have coffee, you know.
Are you
But it's a
familiar with
race
the
that,
course, Max? What else can you add about the course?
yeah,
Yeah, no, we are both, I guess, very familiar because as Moy was saying, it starts. I mean, not in downtown Santiago, which is again a very big city, but it starts kind of
I think to even
at a
go
place.
from downtown Santiago to the
I
outskirts
guess
of the city
you
is like
could,
a
yeah,
50
yeah, yeah.
miler already.
Yeah. No, but you could definitely take your bike and get to the start on a bike. I don't know if many people will do that, but I guess you technically could do that. But then, yeah, a lot of the trails that the race uses are the ones that we normally would do just training, right? Like
Nice.
it's actually where, yeah, I would say not everybody, but like a big chunk of trail runners in Santiago currently train, on the weekends, right? Because it's like easy to access. There's public transport, like you can take a bus and get to get to the park and then just go out. And yeah, as Moy was saying, it's like you start on town and then I don't know 2-3 hours after you are in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you can always see the city, right? Depending on where you are, what side of the mountain you are. But like, it's kind of shocking that you are doing this massive climb on this kind of remote area,
Mm.
but at the same time being very close.
Right.
At least you could see the buildings and whatnot. So it's like this weird combination of feeling like you are kind of out there, but at the same time within the limits of the city, right? Like, yeah, I don't think I have get to experience that in many other places, right? And yeah, I guess we have said in this podcast a few times that Santiago is a cool place to live because of that, right? It's a massive city, and that always comes with some downsides, right? Of just like the population. But on the other hand, we have amazing access to trails, like not just hills.
To wilderness.
We are talking, like real peaks here, and like some of them are very technical. Actually, this particular course has some very rocky and technical trails. So then, yeah, I feel like we are very privileged to live in a city that actually have access to those kind of environments. Yeah.
What's the tallest mountain around Santiago? How tall is it?
So, for example, this one that actually it's gonna be used by the race is I think 3,400 meters.
Are you actually going on the top?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
the long distance go to the top, and
So
again you can do
the
that
altitude is
from
definitely
town.
a factor for that race.
Yeah, but I guess as we were discussing before, right? Like for me, it doesn't feel that high. I guess, like if you are at 3,400 meters in the Alps, it feels very high. But in here, it's not too terrible because what I was going to say is like you can go higher if you want. You can go up to 5,000. Not running from town, but like if you
Ooh.
take your car.
I mean, there is a guy who did it.
I mean, again, technically, I guess you could
You
run
could.
from town. But yeah, normally you will take a car, right? And you can drive 45 minutes and you can start at 3,000 and go as high as 5,000. So,
That's
so
awesome.
that's higher, right? That's higher than everything that you have in the States, not
Yeah.
counting Alaska. But so, yeah, all of that to say, we have some pretty big mountains here. And yeah, from city, you can do a 2,000 meter peak easily, right? And you can get as high as 3,500 meters.
Wow, pretty incredible.
And there is this mountain called El Plomo, which is in front of Santiago, that has a glacier that is not going to last too long, but it still has a glacier. And that one is 5,400 meters, the top. And it used to be like a ceremonial, traditional mountain for the Incas, right, Max?
Yeah, they did like
and they
a yeah.
and they found like some mummies of like kids on the trail, and like some like sort of like no structures, but like basically things that indicated of like previous like cultures just like using it as a sacred place, and going up there to the very, very thin air. I have never been to the top. I made it to the glacier one with Max, and it was like 100 meters of vert from the top, and I had to turn around because the altitude was killing me.
Oof.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
five
like
five thousand is legit.
above 5,000, you feel it, and it was just after a race, and so like yeah, but it's like you see it all the time from the mountain, and technically you can go from the city. You see it all the time from the city, and technically you can go from the city. And there is a guy who did it. He ran from the downtown run hike and went all the way to the summit. Um, it's like a it's like a 50 miles.
Fu- Funny enough, there's also a race that goes to the top two of that one. It's actually part of the Sky Running series now. They did the first one
Wow.
last year, and I think they're gonna do it again. Yeah, I guess yeah. In each, I want to say each country in South America could potentially have this thing of like their core stuff, right? Like I guess Santiago being in the kind of middle of the Chile, we have the mountains, the Andes, but then of course like Chile and Argentina share Patagonia, right? You did K42 there, so that's I guess technically Patagonia, and then the environment is like completely different, right? And I'm sure like in Colombia it also feels very different. I haven't had the fortune to run there, but I'm sure that there's kind of more humid kind of slash jungly, right? But you're still in the mountains. Then Brazil has its own environment too. So I guess yeah, each country in South America has something very unique, I guess, to offer when it comes to trails and experience.
Cool. Very cool. So you're both
So
doing
yeah,
this race?
Max is doing the 50 miler. Yeah.
I'm not racing. I'm gonna be cheering. But funny enough, so Moi's racing. Nico, who is a Vert.run coach, is running the 50K. Gonzalo, who
Nice.
also now works with us, is also doing the 50K. And Danny, my partner, is also doing the 50K. So everybody's racing actually.
It's basically a Vert.run race.
Yeah, right. Everybody will be doing an ultra there. So they,
Fun.
they, they
Yes.
have they have the 50 miler, which is the one that goes to the top that we were saying. Then the 50K, and then I think a 25 and a 10. All of the routes are pretty tough. It's like hardcore trail running. It's not like a smooth
Yeah,
type
yeah, yeah.
of running. It's like very rocky and exposed. Yeah.
Do you feel recovered enough after Nice, Moi?
No,
No?
no, no, because no, by any means. So this was great. I felt good afterwards, but then I got sick for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So Kirsten got sick, and I was like, fine. And then it hit me. So I was sick all of last week. I was sick. So this was what, like 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago. Um, so out of those, like a week of recovering, and then a week of like a little bit of running, and then I got sick. So no, I don't feel recovered. And but I like the experience. So I mean, maybe I do the 50 miles, maybe I do the 50K. I'm gonna see how I feel. But no, I don't feel recovered by any means at all to be doing a race. I feel recovered enough to like train, and
So
start
you will
like building.
use it for as a training race, basically.
I think I will
Like
use
a
it as an adventure.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, as an adventure. I mean, maybe I feel good. You never know.
Hmm.
What I like for sure I did rest very well after this. You know, like I really, really rested because being sick, like there's no you don't do any intensity, and
Yeah. Also, Nice
um
was a very very long race, so
13 hours, that was too long.
it's fairly
Um
fairly long.
yeah. But didn't feel like it didn't feel that like destroy me muscularly, yes, and that was kind of my issue. Like muscular, I didn't have the muscle endurance to like do the whole thing. just because, like I have been training a little bit different and with less time. But like it didn't felt that killed me like inside, So I think everything else, like the nervous system, the brain, like the mood, the hormones, like they were all okay. Not particularly tired, but then like the muscles were like very tired. But then since I got sick, I was able to like really recover everything. Um, but no, I don't feel recover. We'll see.
That's
You
okay.
know, still 2 weeks away, and I'm like doing some runs and workouts, and like I am back doing my strength training, which is fundamental for me uh right now as I get older. So, but I'm excited about next year. So this is gonna be a cool adventure. But I'm thinking
Cool.
about 2026, um, for sure. And it's excuse to go see Max and see my parents, So like
Definitely.
Leon can meet my parents that he hasn't gone to Chile, so it's like that sort of things. It's exciting. Um, yeah, so maybe next year we're gonna see Max. Maybe next year we'll bring you, you know.
That would be cool. Yeah.
We go and do the race and then we like do a road trip in Patagonia.
That'd be epic. Yeah. It could be
It will be.
like the perfect end of the season.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
We need to.
Ma
Yeah, I guess as you were saying. Yeah, I've always thought that. Yeah, for us, meaning South America, they have more. Yeah, like cool athletes and like big names. We would need to lean hard on what is would be your off season, right? Like December, January, and February. It's just like December is hard here because of holidays, so it's a tricky calendar to just like make sure that it works for both ends, right? Meaning here the organizers who puts the event right and needs people to sign up, but at the same time, yeah, it would be awesome to have bigger athletes coming down here to either finish their season or maybe just like start their season, right? Maybe like instead of going to like I don't know Trans Gran Canaria or like
Mm.
Black Canyon, right?
Right.
We could have an alternative for that one. Oh, Tarawera too, I guess, which is the other extreme, but also similar because it's southern hemisphere. So yeah,
Right.
works similar to that. Yeah.
How much of an impact do you think the presence of elite athletes has on a race to achieve like a global status? Like to be really considered among the best races, not just from a competitive standpoint, but also like to really make yourself a name in the sport.
I, if I can jump in quickly, I say nowadays is even bigger than before. Like this actual race, the one that we have been talking about, which used to be called, endurance challenge, like always made an effort to bring mostly people from the brand, right? Like athletes, like like Mike Food had come a few times back in the
Okay.
past. Rob Krar came. I don't remember Moy
Yeah,
one
yeah.
year.
Like when this race was in the peak, it would be Rob Krar,
Like all
Timothy
of the
Olson,
yeah,
like
like
all of
big
the
names
TNF.
from
Yeah.
yeah, and like I guess sure, like there is the competitive aspect of like as a local you want to, I guess, race against the best, right? Because after a while, as you have been doing the circuits, you get to know everybody, right? So it's cool to have, imagine racing Francesco Puppi, right? That would just like be a highlight of like for most people, right? With that runs, but but also just the fact that you have these athletes coming, right? And you also do stuff with the community, right? Like you do a couple of fun runs before, or you like I don't know, like a meet and greet. Like back in the day, like I remember they did like mini talks in the days leading up to a race, and you could talk about just like your experience as a runner or other projects that you maybe have, right? So I think that I was I guess an excuse to just like meet people, right? And just like I guess chat, right? And then just like have that part of like in real life that is not just the race, right? It's just like the whole context of like people coming to do this race. So I feel nowadays, right, like with social media and everything, like it feels like the big athletes have all like kind of personalities, right? So even like people want to, to see their fanboys, right, or their fangirls. So they want to see all of the big athletes, hopefully, doing the races that they do. So I think from that point of view, having bigger representation of strong athletes would be great. Yeah, for the community to
Cool.
just like be lift, not only on the competitive side but also the social side of it.
Cool.
Right on.
Should we move on to the next topic?
Yes, we're excited about it. Um, I think, Max, you could introduce this topic. I think I introduced the previous one. What's going on in Vert.run?
It's yeah, I guess we have been working hard releasing a lot of stuff in the past weeks. Maybe not huge stuff, but like I guess we started with like a streak happening early September. Then like we added some other stuff like the race results. Basically, we have been working nonstop on the app itself, like with like new features and stuff that we have been planning for a while now, but we haven't been able to really start working on until now. So we did the agent stuff, which is what we're calling the coach Vert.run, which has been now living in the app for the past 2 months, I want to say, since August. So I think all of that to say that we have been extremely busy working in new stuff, right? Also getting feedback from people, which is always very important for us, right? Hearing what they think and how are they using what we are trying to build. So coming up next week, or I guess whenever this podcast is out, it will be already out. But yeah, we will have the latest update of the app, which we have been working on for the past months. That will bring like a full new side of the app, which we are calling the timeline, and it's this, I guess, new way of seeing not just your training, but everything else that involves your life as an athlete. And I guess it's a way of us to give the chance to people to understand, I guess, that it's not just what you put in when you run, but then how everything else has an impact in your life, right? And with that, I mean specifically, we all go through some stuff, maybe at work, with family, or we get sick, right? We have a few nights of bad sleep, and basically all of that adds up and has an impact in your training, right? So I guess yeah, this new thing that we're calling timeline, it's our our answer to visually show that, and on top of it, we are also coming up with a new score that we're calling the Vibe score. That is, again, an easy way for you to act on how you should be approaching your training, considering all of the things that I just mentioned, right? Which is not only the training, the running itself, but also everything else, right? And that classic question that we have as coaches all the time of like, hey, what I should be doing, I'm feeling maybe a little bit off, or I'm feeling prime, I want to do more, right? So I think this score will hopefully help people to get an easy read on like, yeah, I'm doing great, or maybe I've been adding more stuff on the stress side of things, right? I need to chill for a bit, I need to maybe focus on my recovery. And then again, all of that tied with the timeline, which will be a visual way of seeing this, will help you plan ahead, right? And hopefully
Cool.
help you to be more consistent, which I guess is one of the main things that we always strive at Vert. It's kind of the core of our philosophy. There is never one real training or even one real training block that will lead to greater performance. It's just like how much are you able to stack, week after week, month after month, and even like season after season, right? So yeah, I think in a nutshell, everything that I discover is like the new thing that is coming next week. And with that, I guess we are opening a full new window into, yeah, just like new stuff that we have planned for the future, and how all of that side will talk with the training and how that evolves to you, right? And how it adapts to you and your needs. And again, not only what you're able to put in on the running side, but also everything else, right? context is basically what we are aiming for, having context for everything around your life, and then yeah, hopefully that makes you plan better for achieve whatever you have in mind when it comes to physical goals, whether that's running an ultra, a marathon, or even other stuff in the future.
I really like this holistic view that puts the athlete, the person, at the center of their training, and the like this broader view on not just the training, but like how different aspects of your life actually impact the way you respond to training and you progress towards the goal. Because I think here the key concept is always how you adapt to a stimulus, and everything is a stressor. The stress doesn't
Yeah.
only come from training, but it comes from so many different areas of your life. So unless you have a truly holistic view of what's going on, you're probably missing out on some fundamental parts of your life that actually impact the way you adapt to the training that that you do when you go out running. So it's super interesting, and I think it's aligned in the way the coaching philosophy in the endurance world is evolving. Like not considering just what the athlete is doing in the actual sessions, but in their whole life, basically. My question here is, how is this new system tracking like all these other things that are not part of your training, that not necessarily you log with your GPS, or I don't know, maybe you track them with your phone, but like basically how does it work?
Yeah. Okay, so I think you hit the the nail on the head there, Frank, when you say about like everything is a stress, and the body processes stress, physical and mental stress, in the same way.
Exactly.
Cortisol rise and all of like the physical and like mental consequences of stress, independent of the source of stress, like we process it on the similar way. So
The
let's say,
body,
for instance,
yeah, your body doesn't know that you're training for a race. The body
yeah,
knows what stress you're actually taking. So
yeah,
I think it's
yeah. So like if for instance you do like a very hard session, like a very hard, you know, uphill workout or whatever, and then your body is very tired, like that is a big stressor on your body. Let's say you do a HIIT session or you do a strength training. Those are all big stressors. And if you have a very important presentation that day at work, or one of your kids got sick, or you have something that is like stressful for you, um, like you're gonna be like accumulating high levels of stress in the same day or the same period. So the goal here is to balance things in a way that it makes sense to your body, and then we are going to be able to optimize your training to actually provide you with the best possible session that you can do around the lifestyle that you currently have or the period that you find yourself in life, because there are also periods of more stress and less stress. Um, And then there is something fundamental, because writing a training plan is like the easy part that we already
for
know
sure.
how to do, and we know how to adapt a plan. And like honestly, I think there are apps out there are coaches out there that write a plan. I don't like, like there's AI writing training plans, like even Jason Cook released an AI thing. That is like, I think that's the starting point, and it's not disruptive. It's not something that is like very special or even complex. The literature is out there. Like writing a plan, a personalized plan for an athlete is um, kind of the starting point. Now, how does that plan interact with the athlete itself, and how we're going to optimize that plan so the athlete can actually crush it in training, and then in life, and then in work, and then on race day? That is a little bit of more of a complex equation. And then how are we gonna get this data, this information? Um, for now, you're gonna be able to add your live events on your personal timeline. So if you have a big meeting, if you have, a travel, if you have a trip coming up, if you're moving like from one house and then you like, I don't know, like change apartments, like you're gonna be able to add your live events on the Vert timeline. You're gonna be able to add like different updates in life, like you got sick, and then we're gonna assign a certain level of like stress level to all of those items that you can also edit yourself, and then we're gonna sync and match that with your plan, and they're gonna coexist on this like feed of your life, basically, which is gonna allow you to visually see how these things interact. So if you have a big week of training and then you have a big week of work, you're gonna be able to understand like, wow, this is happening on the same week. We may have to adjust some things. And that's where your coach come in place for now. That will be automatically adjusted in the near future with AI, where like we're gonna be able to just try to keep uh, an objective score that would allow us to understand like we can increase the load, we can decrease the load of your training. So at the end of the day, your vibe score. So like the combination of your stress level and your training load is balanced. Quote unquote balance in a way that it makes sense for your body. But there is something fundamental here, which is not all events or life events of life situation affects everybody on the same way. So then we enter into the personality traits thing. So there's people that I know, for example, and we all know that um, if they have a big presentation or if they have a work conference, they recharge from that, they get like energized. Drew is an example. Drew is talking to 100 people and he's like full of energy and he's like, I'm ready to go and crush it. But there is other athletes that like they have a presentation, they have a meeting, they have a bunch of interactions and they're fully drained and they have no energy. So then how we adapt that to like, okay, so for the truth of the world, we're gonna be able to, you have a conference, we're gonna match you with like some good training or like hard workouts. But for the others who are like maybe more introvert and like they actually have no energy after a big day of presentations, okay, we're gonna have to take it super easy and ensure that you are recovering from that level of stress. And we're not gonna be adding other stressors with training. And so there's gonna be a conversation between your life and your training in a way that organically is gonna be, working in collaboration, those two things. Um, the next step in the next version is we're going to be able to integrate with your calendars and just start grabbing your live events from your calendars and processing that information and understand, based on your personality and how we're getting to know you more and more and more, we're going to be able to understand how things are affecting and then make actions on real time about like your training. So this first version is more about tracking your life events with your training, and like visually understanding how they interact with each other. And the next step is like, okay, how we're gonna actually automatically be making adjustments and like processing your plan in a way that it is working around your life and not your life trying to adapt to your training plan, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Many, many thoughts around what you just said. I think it could be also a super interesting segue to like I'm using the HRV for training app on a daily basis where
Yeah.
you have like the actual measurement of your HRV and base
Mm,
heart rate as soon as you wake up. And then there is like this questionnaire with very simple questions and a score that you can assign to your energy levels and stress and readiness and how tired or fresh you're feeling. So actually, like, I think maybe a next step could even be integrating this kind of questionnaire with HRV. And of
mm.
course, the more data and information you have, the better you're going to be able to combine and adjust the training plan and like all
Yeah.
these different events that we see have just as much importance as your training sessions on your overall response to training and health and performance.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like, like we have HRV, we have sleep scores, we have um, like energy levels or readiness from like Whoop and Aura and all of these things so that like tells you how tired, how ready you are. We want to ensure that we tell you like the best possible thing that you could do based on how things are going in your life. And with these scores are going to be key too. We have to understand and filter like noise from data. So like there is so much data out there, but like HRV, like sleep scores, those are like fundamental things that we were able to process, and that is going to help inform your training.
There is,
Um,
yeah, to just add to your point, there is the data, but we don't have, like, unless you are taking a conscious decision to change your training or have your coach say, no, you're not doing this session today, we can do it tomorrow, and today is an easy day. We're not like those data and this feedback is not actually impacting your training plan unless someone
yeah,
is doing that for you. It's not automatic. This is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's
how
not
many
it's not like the
times?
HRV app is uh, communicating with your Vert.run app or Training Peaks, whatever, to change the
Hmm.
session, for example.
I think you can see HRV in training mix,
You
but yeah,
can,
like how
but you
many?
have to manually change the session.
Totally. Or somebody has to do it for you. And
Exactly.
how many times you have got out of the door knowing that you may not add fitness,
Oh,
but just add fatigue, you
more
know?
than what I want to admit, for sure.
But the,
That is the story of
and
my life.
well, you're a pro. Like in the high level, it's different, but like at least you're gonna be able to recover after, I don't know. But like imagine you like
So and so,
I don't know for, but it's even worse for like a standard like athlete that
for
has
sure,
like a job and two kids,
for sure.
in the sense that like how many times they just get out the door and they're like go and do the session and grinding it, and sometimes they help you, but a lot of the time, like how many times you have come home and be like, I think that was unnecessary. Um, maybe I should have like done something easy, but that was what it was in the schedule, you know?
Or is what I want to, like, you feel like you have to prove yourself and be able to do that session, even if you know that is maybe better not to, you
Quick,
know?
quick note there, or maybe two things. One, I don't know if you guys heard the pod with Jim and Free Trail when he talks about
Not
just
yet.
like him not using Strava, right? Because of maybe those things like kind of that wave of always you comparing yourself with the past, and the kind of crazy things that you were doing, and basically how that
He
can
actually
turn
has a
into
ghost account that
yeah.
nobody
I mean,
knows,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, but I guess to
I
your
saw
point
that.
though, the, just like again, like you are always maybe being pushing yourself to do something that you could have potentially avoided, right? And maybe that being a better decision down the road for whatever you're aiming for, and stuff like maybe Strava or something else could be that thing that push you to maybe get the kudos, but maybe not the thing to do, right? But then also in as a reflection of everything that we have been doing, we also realize, and talking with the coaches too, right, at Vert, we also notice that a lot of the time, the people that we coach don't have an issue doing more. Normally, we kind of push them to try to do a little bit less, right? Of course, not everybody is like type A, right, or like overachiever of that kind of personality that always want to do more and push harder. But there is a big percentage of people who is now, aiming for, let's say, get to a UTMB, right? For us, the main job there, it's almost like trying them to rest more instead of, going for a 5 hour long run or
Yeah,
doing
to slow
two
them
more
down a
reps,
little bit,
right?
for sure.
So I guess to that point, tools or resources like the one that we are now hopefully getting out there will potentially help, these kind of personality traits to be a little bit more kind with themselves, right? And not just forcing them or pushing them to do something that, again, it may look cool in paper or in Strava, but then maybe, will wipe you out for 3 days, right?
And that's a good point. Like, and this is a conversation we had with the boys here in Boulder often, and it's I think Drew came with this concept actually, which is um and even I went dark in Strava, and I only publish a few of my runs
Mm.
because it become a lot of the time become. And I love a service like Strava. I use Strava. I have for many years, but it become the concept is more about training or tracking your training. It become about like proving fitness instead of building fitness,
Yeah.
right? So how many athletes are out there? For example, yeah, how many athletes are out there where like every run they're trying to think about like how I'm gonna impress the people that is gonna give me likes when I publish this,
Yeah.
right? And 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 we know that there are so many athletes like that, professional and not professional, where like it's always about proving fitness. It's always about like this is a breakthrough workout. This is I'm gonna do this run and I'm supposed to be an easy one, but I'm gonna go for the KOM of this random segment
I feel like
behind a mountain that nobody knows. And then like with that cycle, which is cool, it will tip you to the other side of like adding extra levels of stressors that at the end of the day, aren't necessary. And I think that's where like Jim is getting at. I'm sure that he's using Strava to track his own thing and understand his own performance, but he doesn't need the people to see because maybe one day, he's gonna run very slow, and
yeah,
that's
for
what your
sure.
body
And
needs.
he actually does run very slow on easy days. But yeah, also it becomes an issue when you have 100,000s of followers for sure, and everyone commenting, and yeah,
But
then
it
there's like
affects,
different social media dynamics that we don't need to get
yeah.
into. But I definitely understand your point. Um, at the end of the day, you need to do what you got to do, not what people expect you to do or what you
Mm,
want to do in order to impress other people. I feel like I'm pretty good with that. Even if I use Strava, my training is all on Strava, except the indoor sessions that I just don't like posting. But
yeah.
um, yeah, I don't have any reputation to protect.
Mm. No, and that's okay. And also, like, it does affect the high level athletes like the gym with a
Mm,
100,000 follower, and also like it affects, you know, Mike with like 200 followers.
for sure,
That like
maybe even more.
wants to like, that wants to prove or has a lot to prove, and that's fine, and that's totally fine. That's totally perfect. A lot of our work in Vert is how we make sure that things are balanced in a way that it makes sense to you and to your life, and that we're not overcooked. Like I listened to a bunch of the subtask of Bendima about like
Mm,
his preparation for UTMB, and it's interesting. He did less than any other year of his preparation for this year UTMB. Before this year, he didn't finish
yeah,
like two or three times. He didn't and this year he took second place and almost won. And by doing less, by doing less intensity and less volume, and just doing what he needed to be doing. So a lot of good takeaways in the sense that like if you find that balance, if your life, your work, your family, your travels, and your training are coherent and they work together, you are gonna be better. Like you're not gonna be better necessarily by doing the very hard session after a long day of work just because it's on the paper. That won't necessarily be the answer for you to improve. A lot of them, the easiest and the path of least resistance, which can be like just the easy run, is gonna give you more benefits than just grinding and grinding and grinding and
for sure.
grinding, because it will work, but also like it may send you to a hole that we have all experienced. I have been on that hole of like I'm extremely tired and not getting any better.
Yeah,
You have been there. I know Max have been there, and you know what? It's very hard to get out of it.
I think we come from a culture that makes hard work look very cool, like values hard work for the sake of it, and it's something to celebrate and to be proud of, and it gets you recognition, but also like you take pride in your hard work without sometimes understanding that you're not like, it doesn't have to be that way. It's, yeah, everything, you have to work hard in order to achieve big goals and difficult things for sure. But I feel like sometimes it's just hard work for the sake of it, just because we want to feel like, just because like this hard work basically closes out every other feeling and sensation that the
Yes.
activity can actually give you, that you don't want to listen to pay attention to. I don't know, it's hard for me to express this concept, but I hope I was able to a
Uh,
little bit.
yeah, and I understand. And hard work feels good, you know?
Exactly, yeah, that is maybe the
But
summary. It
you know
feels
what
good.
doesn't feel good? Yeah. When you're an athlete and you're used to running and exercising every day and working hard, hard work feels good. And you know what doesn't feel good? Sitting in the discomfort of resting. You know? Do you feel that sometimes? Like I want to rest. Well, I'm sometimes when I need to rest, I'm like enjoying being in the couch. But like sitting in the discomfort of resting, sometimes it's harder than going out and it's matching yourself against, the trail, you know?
Totally, totally. I think it's a very good summary. We should
Yes.
we should get a sport psychologist involved next time, because I think
Yeah,
this
what can I
topic has
say?
several
This,
overlaps with
yeah, yeah,
psychology. Actually,
yeah.
I will try to.
We should, yeah,
I mean, the
let's do
podcast
it.
I did with Eva Maria
Ever,
Sperger
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of fun, but
Yeah.
we didn't just touch this topic.
To be continued.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I have to run,
Exciting.
but it was fun
Yes.
to catch up with you guys. Thanks a lot.
Oh man, we're so back. So good to see you, friend.
Until next time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Ciao,
Peace.
guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening.